Hello! How is everybody today? Oh, I forgot to grab the thing I need to work on. It's all the way over there.
Hello, all the beautiful people.
Wonderful people. I have a new secret notebook.
A new secret
Oh,
notebook.
Yes.
is it top secret
No,
or is it
not
bottom
entirely.
secret?
For me, it's probably a bottom secret, just to be honest. I haven't decided because this hunter is going to be hunted. I'm just saying.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, I made a beverage today with my coffee that it's very delicious, but I'm really sad because it's already cold. But I did my normal hot chocolate coffee, but instead of milk, I put pumpkin spice creamer. So it's like chocolate pumpkin pie, and it's delicious.
'Cause you're basic.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I
I'm
don't
just saying.
generally like pumpkin spice flavored things. I like pumpkin pie, but usually the stuff that's pumpkin spice flavored doesn't taste like pumpkin. It just tastes like the spices that are in pumpkin pie. So,
'Cause I'm basic. Clap along if you feel like pumpkin spice is the truth. 'Cause I'm basic.
Oh, we need that song. We need like that full song.
so I also had pumpkin pie for breakfast this morning. So
I'm detecting a theme.
don't judge me. Okay, pumpkin pie is my favorite dessert on the entire planet, and I wait for it all year when it gets into fall because stores and stuff don't sell it except for in the fall and winter time. So
They sell the filling.
yeah, I
Canned.
guess I don't like baking.
It's my favorite thing in the world to have, but I'm too lazy to make it.
I will if I'm really desperate, like I really really want it, I will, but like I don't like baking. You've never had pumpkin pie? Oh, you're
Okay,
missing out.
I'm just gonna put this out there. Sweet potato pie is like 20 times better than pumpkin pie, but I love both.
I've never had sweet potato pie, but that's mostly cuz I'm really chicken because I'm kind of picky and I don't generally like sweet potatoes, but I'm sure I probably would like sweet potato pie. I just never tried it because I'm
Sweet
like
potato pie is basically pumpkin pie turned up to 11.
I've just I've just been chicken to try it because I'm like, but what if I don't like it because I don't like sweet potatoes?
I get that, but it's not. It's
I
not.
have not had sweet potato pie, but I do like sweet potatoes, so I would probably like it.
It's very good.
I'll have to try it. All right. Well, there was lots of chatting in there before we started, so let's scroll up and see who's here. Wordsfall writes, I don't think I've seen you on my stream before, so hello and welcome. I'm glad you're here. And we
Hello
have
again.
Eva here. Hello and welcome. I'm glad you're here. And then Jace is in there saying hi. And I already said hi to you, Jace, so that's all the
So you don't
acknowledgement that you get. And CB's here. Hello.
Look at me. Look at me.
Hello and welcome, CB. I'm glad you're here. And Charlie was up in there, but now Charlie's up in here, so.
I'm just moving on up. What can I
Up
say?
in here. Up in here.
And Allie is here. Hello. How are you? Welcome. Thank you for being here. And we have Devin. It's not a stream without Devin. Hello.
Hey.
And welcome and thank you for being here. And Orla's here. Hello.
Orla.
Thank you for being here. And oh, now Penumbra is here. Hello.
Hello, Penumbra.
Yeah, pumpkin pie is delicious. Like
It really
legit,
is.
legit. I cannot have any Christmas or Thanksgiving holiday without pumpkin pie, and my family
Agreed.
knows that, so they always make at least two, and then one for everybody to have one, and one specifically just for me.
Same.
So
Yeah.
that's how they make me feel loved. Is they make a whole extra pumpkin pie just for me to have it all to myself.
Same.
So, but yeah, I went to the store last night to get a couple of things for dinner, and I left with 2 pumpkin pies that I did not need, but I needed.
I was about to say, wait a minute, no.
Now,
Everybody always, it's like cheesecake. Everybody needs to have it in the fridge just in case.
Just in
Because you
case.
never know.
You never know when the Golden Girls will show up.
Especially in my house.
I got the pumpkin pies, and then I checked out and I came home and forgot one of the things that I needed for dinner. But hey, I got 2 pumpkin pies out of it. So
You got the important part.
So I'm gonna make a confession here.
Hmm.
I do like pumpkin pie, but I will
Mm-hmm.
most of the time choose something else over it.
It's okay. I respect your opinion. Okay, it's all right. All right, I'm gonna drink
We
my
can
cold
work through
beverage.
It's not
See,
an insurmountable wall that you have erected between us, but
Because I have validated your desires.
Mm-hmm.
and really, isn't
Hello,
that what all
Chloe.
relationships are about?
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, Chloe. So I was talking about this before the stream started, but I remember that thing that we talked about with PCOS. Well, I had a doctor's appointment this morning, and I talked to them about what you told me, and they said that I could if I wanted to, but they recommend not doing that because it would make me very fertile, and I don't want to have any more kids at the moment. So, thank you for your advice. Nobody else knows what I'm talking about.
I do. Oh,
So-
Wordsfall also has it.
Oh, cool. I mean, not cool,
Well,
but
not cool.
it's cool that we have something in common, but like not cool that you have it. So, but yeah, Chloe, thank you for your advice, and I appreciate you. So the doctor offered other solutions instead, which prescriptions are coming in the mail. So woot woot.
Sisters.
Oh goodness gracious.
Sisters.
Hey, you know what? It's almost time for me to watch that movie. So
Which
Same.
one?
the movie
Oh.
that song
White
is from.
Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
What do you mean, which one? You were just saying.
First the pumpkin pie, and now this. I
And
mean,
now this.
this is a sad day. This is a sad stream. I didn't know what I was getting in for.
It's a really big deal. Thank you. And another surprising thing too is that it was the VA, so you don't expect them to actually do anything. But my doctor was nice, because it's my first appointment with the actual doctor from the VA clinic itself. Because before I was in the community care program, where I could go to whatever doctor, but I was dumb and I let that lapse. So, oh well. But my doctor at the VA was pretty nice this morning. We had a virtual appointment, so.
The VA has been very good to my dad and my brother.
Yeah, it sometimes they are and sometimes they aren't. What the thing that really sucks is they are usually understaffed, and the people that they do staff are usually not very good at what they do, so they're also not very efficient. Because they like to give lots of jobs to people who are veterans, which is great, but they usually don't give them jobs that they're qualified for.
And when my brother was going through his rapid fire cancer phase, as he likes to call it, because he had, I think, 6 types of cancer in 3 years.
Ooh.
He's oddly better now because they
That's surprising,
just went
but good.
aggressive. I mean, they were really aggressive in treating him, and he's doing well. So, but he probably wouldn't be around if it wasn't for them.
Right. I mean, the VA can be good and it can be horrible, and I think they need to work on getting it fully staffed, because that's
Yes.
a big problem that they have right now, is that it's never fully staffed. And like the reason why I was on community care before is because when I found out I was pregnant and I tried to schedule an appointment for prenatal care, and they didn't have any openings for 6 months because they had too many patients and not enough doctors. And so they're like, hey, pregnancy is not really something that you can wait to be seen on, so we're going to let you go to an outside doctor.
What? That doesn't work on a waiting list? That's
So
That's bizarre.
yeah, but
Didn't you know there's actually a pause button in your navel?
just boop. I'm not ready to have you yet. The VA can't see me, so just stop growing for a minute. Oh boy,
I was
Maya's
doing
here.
Maya.
research into some kind of an animal the other day for a fantasy thing that I'm writing, and they actually can pause. I can't remember which one it was though, and it was fascinating because depending on the amount of like nutrients that they're eating, they can actually pause and hold
I
a
remember
pregnancy
seeing
for
that.
years. Yeah, I can't remember what it was. I'd have to go look at my notes, but
Mm-hmm.
it's amazing that actually does exist in nature.
Right.
It just seems impossible, but it's there.
So the other week, I was gonna say the other day, but it was like a couple weeks ago. So a little bit ago, Noelle was really, she still is really into animals and animal documentaries. So we watched that.
Akadal.
Akadado. We watched that movie about elephants, the documentary one about elephants that they made for. It's on Disney Plus. I can't remember. It was about a family of elephants and their migration from the Delta to Lake Victoria and then back. And it was really cool. And on the way back to the Delta, one of the elephants had a baby, and it was like, and after 2 years of pregnancy, and I'm just like, oh my god, 2 years of pregnancy, what the hell? I'm so sorry for you elephants. Noelle
were
loved the
preg-
movie though.
My
You
sister
were
would have
pregnant
murdered
and didn't feel
people.
like that?
I can't imagine being pregnant for 2 years.
My sister's totally would have murdered like half the population of the state she lived in if she had to be pregnant for 2 years. It
It might have been seahorses.
might have been seahorses.
What about seahorses? Oh,
The
being able to pause.
pregnant, yeah.
Just pause. Well, it's also male seahorses that have the babies too, so.
Not saying that seahorses are superior to humankind, but yeah.
I mean, who's gonna argue with that though? I mean,
What about I think is it clownfish that just can flip gender at will?
Yep.
if the other one dies, they will
Mm-hmm.
switch. Yeah, and I think there's some animals that can impregnate themselves. I think I'm not.
Yep. The parthenogenesis, they can
Yeah.
do that. Yeah, there are quite a few kinds of fish and amphibians and some reptiles. My personal favorite is snails, who literally like have sword fights, and whoever can stab the other one with the spear first, that's the one that's having the baby. They literally have spears that they
I don't want to be pregnant. You're gonna be pregnant. No, I don't want to be pregnant. You're gonna be pregnant. Ah, damn it.
literally sword fight, and then
They fight to see who will receive. I've
Yes.
seen that video.
So I get a lot of slugs here, and there's a lot that live like I have this on my patio. There's this one section that's just like dirt if I wanted to plant something there, and I get a lot of slugs right outside my door in the dirt patch right there. And the other day I walked outside and there was 2 slugs dangling down from their slime, they're doing their business,
doing the do.
and I almost ran into them because they were like right in front of the door.
And we have a giant garden spider that likes to hang out right in front of our door.
He's just like right in front of my salad.
It's one of the big ones too.
Oh, it's armadillos that can pause a pregnancy.
Oh, armadillos.
Armadillos.
That's probably what it was.
Okay, by the way, I looked up how to say Worcestershire sauce today. It's Worcestershire. In case anybody struggles with saying that word. I don't know why I remembered that, but there you go.
Or just do what they do at the restaurant. Do you have any W sauce?
W sauce, yep.
And then they go to the back room and bring out some WD-40.
Well, I just think the people around here are addicted to saying the words W, because anytime that they can find a way to shorten something to W, they do it. Even things that don't make sense.
Yeah.
Just go to the faucet and get a nice tall glass of W. We
I
are at 15 minutes in.
yeah, I don't. I'm seeing. Who? What are you talking about? I'm confused.
There was just an incident at the St. Louis Zoo. A snake that hadn't been by a male in like decades spontaneously laid viable eggs.
Oh, okay. All right. We're good. I got
That
it. I'm not confused. All right. Are we ready for a sprint?
Yes.
Woot woot. All right.
In the
Three,
boot.
3, 2, 1. Go.
Hello, hello.
Woohoo!
Hello.
We did it. Hold on, let me just finish this
Were you
paragraph.
singing, Charlie? Okay.
A little bit, yeah.
Cool, cool. We haven't had you on karaoke.
No, because
I'm
I'm still
thinking
trying to figure
Charlie.
out how
Oh,
to use
got
my
it.
new voice.
I'm thinking Charlie
Nice.
may join us for this month though.
I have
Maybe.
I have been practicing a song. I don't know if I'm going to do it or not, but I have been practicing a song.
Well, we would love to have you. No matter what your vocal ability or experience is, no matter how good or bad you think you are, we want you.
Well, it's more like my natural range is like a Pete Steele bass baritone, and with all the vocal work that I've been doing to repair my voice from its horrid, decrepit, factory installed position, I'm still learning how to do things with it
Right, right.
because my factory presets were set all wrong.
Hey,
Hello,
Cache, how
Cash.
are
Hello.
you? So, alright, how did everybody do during that sprint? I made it through. Let me count really quick. I wasn't paying attention.
I'm trying to name characters, and well, I found one that I love because it's so cliche for a romance novel, and that's Logan Fox. Like, I love it. I'm like, I kind of,
Love it.
it kind of has to be that one. One of the other ones that popped up was Nicholas Nagel, and I don't know who that's going to be, but that's a person that will appear in this book at some point. At some point, that cracks me up.
I did 7.5 pages of proofreading during that
You
sprint.
know what jumps out at me when you said, what's his name, Fox?
Logan Fox.
Logan Fox? Is my brain wanted it to be Fox, Fawkes.
Ooh, might do.
That makes me think of Meet the Fockers.
Well, it's Faulk.
I might do that. I'm using a random name generator because I'm terrible at names. And the whole point of this project is to get writing as quickly as possible. And so I was just sitting there hitting refresh, but I like.
One thing that I like to do with names is I have various character naming methods. One, if it's a really, really important character that symbolizes something, I usually will try to figure out a name that also symbolizes the same thing that they symbolize. Like my main character's name is Alexis, which comes from the word, or like it means protector, which makes sense because that's literally the entire purpose of her existence is to protect humanity from supernatural beings from another world. Like that, so it fits. And then like Ambrose is immortal, so his name means immortal. It's a nickname though. His real name is something else, which you guys will not know until you read the books. But
Because the MC I have decided is going to be from a secret order of Irish vampire hunters because I think that's funny because that's as far of an accent as I can get in my head from the traditional like Central European European accent, and I really want that to be a thing. And I have yet to figure out what I'm going to do, but I want the Britishest British name for the vampire that can be British. So it's probably going to be like a Bartleby or something.
also, depending on
Bartleby
how old
Chesterfield.
depending on how old your characters are, you could try to find names that are really popular in whatever time period that they're from. But I've done that a lot because like I have Ambrose is immortal, so his real name, because Ambrose is his nickname, is based off of names that were really popular in the year that he was born. Also, his last name it's occupational because he's from the medieval times, so his last name is Smith because he came from a family of blacksmiths. So
Yeah, the
But-
story's probably going to take place in the 1700s in colonial America because, again, just trying to have some fun with it. And yeah, I found out that there actually was a vampire scare in the United States, but it was in 1848 in Connecticut.
So I did a ton of research on vampires for when I was in high school. We were reading, we were doing American literature, I believe it was. We read The Crucible, and we had to write a paper about another time in history that caused mass hysteria for people, similar to that of the witch trials and such. And so I did my paper on vampires and hysteria around vampires. And there's a lot of different times all throughout the world where like, oh my god, vampires, like US, Europe, like everywhere. And I learned a lot about vampires that I now use for this project since there's vampires in it.
And then the early 2000s hit, and people are just like, "Ooh, vampires!"
Mm-hmm.
I do think that I am going to have to put in some kind of a sparkly antagonist, though. Like, I just think that has to be a thing at some point. Like, the secret baddie sparkles in the sunlight just because this is my trash novel. I can do what I want.
Honestly, I'm kind of falling a little bit into the fae bandwagon, but not as bad as like they're fairies, not just fae. Like they're actually like Tinkerbell. Imagine Tinkerbell but human sized.
I'm so into fae. Like most of the stuff that I write is like very Irish folklore based, but yeah, I just wanted to do something crazy and fun. And I have to do it now because Spence and I have decided to be critique partners because we're both writing a vampire story. So,
ooh, I love that for you guys.
So okay, I have somebody to hold me to it. So yay!
So I haven't read.
You.
We writing ship you. I haven't read Spence's book, but I read her outline for her book because she's like, I just really need somebody's opinion on it, and I really liked it. And then she during Camp Nano, I think it was, and she was like writing a particular scene, and she was like during a sprint, she's like, oh my god, I'm so sad, like I'm writing this sad scene, and then she messages me, she's like, it was this scene. I'm like, oh my god, no. I know what scene that is. No. I'm like, I feel for you. Nobody else gets to know what it is though because it's a spoiler. Sorry. Just know that it's a sad scene.
Yeah, she's the one that convinced me to do this because I was thinking about doing it last night, and she talked me into it. So I'm excited.
I'm glad. Let's see. Did anybody else say how they did? CB said 18 chapters outlined. Awesome. Oh, and Sid's here. Hello, I just noticed.
Hey, Sid.
And Sage.
It's Sage.
I am like not on top of this today. I'm so sorry.
No. And Better Days is here.
And let me... Oh, yep, there it is. Better Days are here. Zellers.
Hello.
What is up? I don't think I've had you on a stream with me before, so hello.
Every time I hear that name, it just makes me happy because I'm like, please be prophetic. Please be prophetic. Yes. Let the better days be here. Please.
Let the better
Preach
days
it.
rain down.
Preach it.
Also, yesterday, later when I'm working on my own book, I got this for storyboarding.
Ooh.
It says Act 1, Act 2, Part 1, Act 2, Part 2, and Act 3, so I can puzzle together things. When I was at the store yesterday, I saw it for $2, and I was like, hey, I need one of those, because right now I've got a bunch of sticky notes on my closet, and a bunch of sticky notes on the wall downstairs, and I'm tired of having to do two places. So I have a mobile storyboard now.
Oh, we have a Heather.
Oh, yep, there it is. Hello, Heather.
That's actually my rush because I'm going to be on Heather's stream tonight and I want to actually be writing. Like I have the trashy idea. I just need to name the trashy characters and the trashy place that it happens in. And then the trash fire can be lit.
You just have one trashy idea?
Oh no, I have quite a few, but I've been writing like a lot of like proto-dystopian world ending crap this year. And it's just like, I want just utter trash fun. I need fun.
I think Noelle's pushing against her door because I heard like a thump, and I was like, "What the heck is going on?" And so I had to check and make sure like Jordan wasn't here yet because he's not supposed to be on lunch till like 4 o'clock. And I'm just, but yeah, I think it's Noelle because, yeah, just startled me for a moment.
I have a whole series of erotica novels I'm trying to tuck myself out of writing. So yes, I've got ample trash just sitting around.
It's
and
okay.
I may have already bought the domain for the series name.
I have been seriously considering writing a whole romance series of cowboy romances because they're real in right now, like really popular at the moment, and I grew up in the country as a cowgirl myself, so like I feel like I could bring a level of
Authenticity.
yeah, thank you. I couldn't say it to it that like I think it would be good. I don't know. Maybe just like working on them on the side. And I like because I've been thinking about that, I've been thinking about pen names and because I wouldn't want to do romance and my fantasy under the same name because it's two genres, but I'd be probably pen name. Hey, I also write this genre under this pen name too, but just like not published. Yeah, you know how it works. You know how it works.
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
need
just
to
going to
explain
use
it to you.
variations of my own name. So the fantasy stuff, that's all C.E. Dorset because it's what I've been using.
You're like
And
E. Schwab and Victoria Schwab.
the romance stuff is going to be Charlie. It's going to be Charlie Dorset because I can do big swooshy letters for that. Like you should have on a trashy romance novel because I dream of the swooshy letters.
I would say I could use my maiden name for my romance, but then my family would be like, "Oh my God, Meadow wrote a book," and they would read it, and I'd be like, "Please don't, just don't read it." I was talking to my grandma the other day about my writing, and she was like, "Oh, when you finish it, I want to read it," and I'm just like. God, okay, Grandma. There's graphic depictions of violence. Oh no, never mind. I don't want to read it because she's 84. She doesn't want to read that kind of stuff. Honestly, the real reason I don't want to read it is because my grandma's a very conservative, traditional type person, and there's a lot of LGBTQ and sex and LGBTQ sex and. Also graphic depictions of violence, but like
It sounds
mostly
like you're
it's the
describing the
sex.
trashy novel I'm working on.
Mostly it's the sex and the LGBTQ plus sex that I don't think she would be very into, and it would scar me for life if she read it. So
It would scar you more if she read it and she's like, "Oh, that brings back memories." Because that kind of happened with me in one of my grandmothers, that she read one of my books and she was like, "That reminds me of me and my gal pals when we used to run around in the woods." And I'm just like, "Grandma?"
I mean,
Okay, I'm
Story
gonna
time.
consider something. Which would be worse, having your grandma read it and be aghast and clutch her pearls, or have your grandma read it and love it?
honestly, I don't know. Okay, so it's not necessarily the sex that would bother me because my grandma's had 7 kids. Like, she's. That's
She's
not
at
what
least
I'm
been
necessarily
present
worried
for it.
about. I just don't know how she would react to the LGBTQ plus side of it because, like, it doesn't take a main role in the first book, but it does going on in the series because one of the main characters is bisexual and explores a relationship with another man in the second book, which is great. I love it. I love writing the relationship. However, I'm not sure how my grandmother would react to that relationship. I just don't know. I will say one thing that surprised me about my grandma was so my best friend has his aunt Tabitha, who is a trans woman, and when we first met Tabitha, they were not trans yet. They didn't know that they were trans yet, and so when my grandma met this person, she didn't like him because kind of a jackass back then. Much better now that they figured out who they are and are not like internalized rage all the time. But she doesn't like this person because they were really jackassy back then. And so we were talking about this person, and my grandma's like, "Oh my God, I hate him. He's so horrible." I was like, "Actually, Grandma, they're trans. It's she now." And she like pauses for a minute. "Well, whoever the fuck they are, I still hate them." And I'm like, "Oh my God, that was not the reaction I was expecting, but like, I appreciate it."
But it's not transphobic. It's actually
It's not.
accepting.
Yeah, it's not.
Oh God, it was so great. It was so great.
I accept your lifestyle. I hate you, but I accept your lifestyle.
Oh, I need to put shirts in my Redbubble to say that. I accept your lifestyle, but I hate you.
I just sprayed coffee all over the desk.
I'm sorry.
Let me just grab a towel.
I'm just saying, I would wear that shirt. Like,
I could probably wear that around Ann Arbor,
I accept your
And-
lifestyle. I just hate you.
and people will be like, "I want that shirt."
Oh god, at least it didn't spray out my nose. That was more of a spit take. Oh god, okay. Alright, we're good. Let me just get this coffee off of Jordan's keyboard. Okay, alright, we're good. We're good. But I love my grandmother. I love her to death, but like she cracks me up, man. She cracks me up.
That was like a power sitcom reset. Just like, and back to 1 and go.
She confuses me because she's super, super conservative, but also super, super liberal at the same time.
My last
confusing.
grandmother was that rebel who got arrested for wearing a 2-piece bikini back in like the 1930s and stuff to the local watering hole to go swimming. Like she was all the rebel, and I love her.
My grandma's from Oxford, England, in the country, so she's like super conservative. Grew up like conservative Christian in the England kind of person, and then she married an American soldier, moved here, and became more liberal in her politics, but is still super, super conservative in everything else. So like, she can't vote because she's not a citizen, because she never became a citizen. She became a resident. But if she could vote, she would vote all Democrat. And yet all of her beliefs of like religion and everything else is all super like Republican. And I'm like, I don't understand you. Just pick one. You confuse me.
Well, that's just narrow-minded of you.
I know. It's just confusing, okay? Oh, it just confuses me. I just don't get it. She like, so when I had Noelle, she went on this huge rant that, because Jordan didn't want me to be a stay-at-home mom, he wanted me to work because he didn't think we could afford it. And then he got his promotion, and then he didn't really care anymore because we could afford it. But at first, he was like, no, you really need to work. And my grandma went on this huge rant for months at him, saying that he should go and work and take care of me so that I could stay home and take care of my kids, and that I shouldn't have to work, and that my job is to be at home taking care of my child and cooking and cleaning, which is very, like, not liberal of her.
Nope.
And then her everything else, like her political and everything, is super liberal, and I'm just confused. I don't get it.
It's a mad, mad world. What can I say?
She is an individual.
And the world needs so many more just like people who are willing to set their own course.
Right. Man, I love my grandma. She's an amazing human being. She wants to write a book herself, which I keep encouraging her to do, because she wants to write a book about her experience with my grandpa and helping him through his Alzheimer's. And already has like a name. She wants to call it Laughing Through the Tears. And
Aww.
I'm like, Grandma, write your damn book, because she's really good. Like, she has an English degree and everything. Like, she used to read my old stuff when I was younger, when I was first starting to write, and would like not edit for me, but like give me pointers and stuff. And like, she's really good at it. She just needs to do it. And like for Christmas, like 2 years in a row, I got her a like really pretty notebook with custom covers on it. I would make covers that said like "Laughing Through the Tears" by Margaret Wilds on it, and I would give them to her, and she would cry and say, "I'm so excited to write this book," and then she never wrote the book.
Oh,
I just need her to write it, man. I just need her to write it
You just give her a new one every year
until she writes it.
and say, look, the longer you put this off, the longer the book has to be, because you have to fulfill every one I give you.
that works for me. I like that idea.
But yeah, all right. I think it's time for another sprint because we've only done one. Okay, is everybody ready?
Ready.
3, 2, 1, go.
Ding-a-ling.
Ring ding ding ling a ding ding a ding ling ding. All right. I have a grammar question for the editor of the group here, other than myself. Okay, so the sentence is not currently grammatically correct as it is because they used a semicolon that is not used correctly. But I understand why they used a semicolon, and I want to figure out if a M dash would be the better option here. So the sentence is, and well, it's the second half of a sentence, but and here he was scaring the love of his long life, semicolon, straight into an asylum if he wasn't careful. And they want to use a semicolon because they want to emphasize that second part of the sentence. So
Yes, most
an
definitely.
M dash, would that effectively highlight that Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure before I replaced it with an M dash. Awesome. That sentence is much better now. I have sentence doctored the
See,
sentence.
and now you're starting to get into line editing. In the mood.
Woot woot.
Every time.
Yeah. Hey, it's the same with you every time you say Eliza and I say and Peggy.
I have that problem too.
When he's doing Perfect Pancake and I'm on there with him, and because it's Eliza Pancakes on Sims, and he's like, Eliza! And then I'm just over here, and
have
Peggy.
that. Yeah. I feel that deep in my soul.
Also, in case anybody's wondering, something I had to look up in Chicago Manual during that sprint, numbers 1 through
Yes.
100 are spelled out. Numbers 1 through 100 followed by 100, 1,000, or 100,000 are spelled out. Numbers that are at the beginning of a sentence are spelled out. Anything else is numerals. KK, thanks for listening to my lecture. I just had to look it up because there was a number in here that was spelled out, and I was like, I don't think that's supposed to be spelled out. So I looked it up, and it was not supposed to be spelled out. So
It could have been a colon. I don't. It doesn't feel right.
They used a semicolon.
Right. No, she's asking if it could have been a colon situation.
I think it could have been a colon. It just didn't feel. It just didn't feel like a colon situation.
It just sounds like you're sick. Is it a colon situation?
It just felt like, because the whole reason why they used the semicolon there was to emphasize the second part of the sentence.
Right.
Which I want to go with what they're going with. I just need to use the proper punctuation and not the improper punctuation. So, and an M dash felt right to me. I just wanted to make sure before I.
An M dash feels
changed it.
better to me than a colon does.
Yeah, because for me, colon is usually. I usually use colon. I don't use them very often. I usually use colons when it's like, and then she said this thing, and then the thing that she said is followed by a colon, or, I mean, that's like the most vaguest way I could say that, honestly.
Most vaguest.
Oh, shut up.
Viva most vaguest.
Oh, shut up.
You have no idea how difficult it is not to say all the inappropriate things that are in my head right now because I'm trying to save them for the trash novel.
So your trash novel is going to have a lot of colon comments?
Oh, it might. Who knows? I did decide to name the vampire Kane because it kept popping up in the random name generator. And I'm like, that's so cliche. I love it. Okay, yes, the vampire's name's Kane. So it's going to be a trash fire, and I'm so happy. I'm living for it.
Heather had to step away. They came back to the word M dash. I immediately sprang to attention.
That's another editor.
Right, trying to remember if the second part of the sentence was defined. So, yeah, the second part of the sentence wasn't really. I mean, it was, but it wasn't. It's, here, let me read the sentence again. Here he was, scaring the love of his long life, M dash, straight into an asylum if he wasn't careful. I mean, so it's kind of emphasizing. I mean, it is, but also at the same time, it's.
Yeah, it's definitely
Mhm.
not a colon situation.
It's definitely not a colon situation. It's honestly, I would make it its own sentence if I could, but using an M dash here seems right. So,
Girl, I had those tacos last night, and now I'm having a colon situation.
hey, Penumbra, it seems like you're always running errands whenever I'm streaming. It's fine. You gotta run your errands when you gotta run your errands. It's funny. Like every time you pop in, you're like, "Hey, I'm running errands, but I'll come in later," or "I just got back from running errands."
There,
Although that
there,
it
there are a
makes
couple
sense.
people. Yeah, there are a couple people on my streams that I feel like I'm their soundtrack to shopping. Because they're
Right.
always like, I'm at the grocery store right now. And I'm just like, okay.
I listen to audiobooks when I go grocery shopping. None of you YouTube people are good enough for me. I'm just kidding.
I
I'm just
resemble
kidding.
that remark.
Now, I usually listen to audiobooks because I will forget to listen to them at home while I'm doing other stuff because I'm watching YouTube and live streams. And so then when I'm out doing stuff, I'll get my Bluetooth headphones and just listen to my audiobook while I am out doing stuff. What is an M dash? We have that question here. What is an
CB
M
just used
dash?
one.
I ate gluten. I had a colon situation. An M dash is
The
how
length
did
of
you?
an M.
It is a dash that is the length of an M. It is often used for cutting off a sentence quickly, or cutting off a thought, or emphasis,
Setting off,
interjection.
yeah, interjection, setting off a section, setting off a clause that's, yeah, more emphasized than commas.
I'm gonna open up my book, the part that's edited so far, and I'm gonna find because I use M dashes often, so I'm going to see if I can find a good example. Not
Here's
because I think my writing is better, just so everybody's aware. It's just like I just know I use them, and since I'm an editor, I know how to properly use them.
And
uh,
also, you don't have to worry about somebody being mad at you for quoting their book out of context.
Yeah, yes. Okay.
here's you've never used an M dash, but if you use ellipses all over the place, you probably should be using M dashes. Because most of the places you're using those ellipses, they're actually M dash places.
Ellipses can usually be replaced with literally any other punctuation. Like, I know I overuse ellipses, but that's like just because I like them. I can't find and replace search for M dashes because there's no M dash key on this frackin' keyboard. I'm so annoyed right now.
Yeah, right now, Meadow and I are sort of fighting over which one of us gets to do the video that berates people on doing ellipses wrong.
Oh, I could send in so many sample chapters for you for that. Like, oh,
Okay, what did you say the keystroke for an M dash is? It's
It's Alt, hold Alt, then hit
and then
0151, and then let go of Alt.
no, that didn't work. Fuck you. Not you, the computer. Fuck the computer. Okay. Alt 0151. Why? Okay, yeah, it's not working. It's giving me a U with a thingy on top. I hate you. Computer, I hate you. I guess I'll just have to scroll until I find an M dash. Hold on a second.
does your autocomplete not do it if you just do double dash space?
Yeah, it's not. I
It's not
tried.
Yeah.
Well, okay, actually, you know what? Double dash space. Why? Why do you do this to me, computer? Okay, now I
Except there's
can.
not supposed to be a space after the M dash.
Yeah, but that's my find and replace is, or my replace with is if I do two hyphens and then either followed by a space or another punctuation, it replaces it with an M dash. So
Right, but when I was trying to do that, it would replace it with an M dash space.
yeah, mine it doesn't replace it with an M dash space unless I type hyphen hyphen space. then it is M dash space. But if I do hyphen hyphen period, then it just replaces it with an M dash period. So, all right, now I have the M dash. I'm sorry, guys, this is taking forever. Find and replace. Insert the M dash. Here we go. Okay, we're gonna get rid of this M dash that I just put in there. Okay, all right, M dash. Okay, so I've used it here to cut off a sentence because somebody got interrupted. Then same there. Ouch! I just hurt myself.
Oh, and wonderful.
Okay.
So
Sorry.
if you want to use an ellipses for like when they pause and talking, and you want to format it correctly for novels in the U.S.
Yeah. Yes.
Let me put an example.
It's space dot space dot space dot space for Chicago Manual of Style. Make sure you research whatever style guide is used for whatever type of thing you're writing. He said something to me, space dot, space dot, space dot, space. I couldn't remember. Perfect use of a ellipses. All right, now I just found a sentence that works pretty well with a good example of a M dash. So the sentence here, she's like, she was attacked by some sort of creature, a werewolf, and her boyfriend is telling her that it was just a dog, a guy and a dog that attacked her. And she said, I was so sure of what I saw, M dash, what I thought I saw. And then it trails off because she's like confused with what's like, what to believe. I feel like that's a good example of an M dash. Because it emphasizes, it cuts off a thought, continues on with another thought, but the second thought is also emphasized because of the use of the M dash.
Correct.
Excellent.
Oh, that's why. I was like, why is this like a bad Japanese movie where you're talking and your mouth isn't moving and then your mouth is moving and you're not talking?
Are you in the other one?
I was in the other window.
Whoopsie.
Oopsie. So, yes, I hope that helps you with M dashes a little bit. I am like a whore for M dashes as well as ellipses, but I'm starting to embrace the M dash more now and using that a lot instead of ellipses.
The author who must not be named used an ellipsis at the end of the last Harry Potter book, I think. It's not a bad thing to use, it's just a bad thing to abuse and
To
overuse.
overuse. See, as I'm scrolling through my book, here, you know what? Let me just type in an ellipses. Actually, no, because my ellipses are formatted for CMOS, and so they're not. I can't search an ellipses and have it find it. I would have to type in a period and find all of them. But here, just scrolling, I have so many ellipses. I'm gonna have to go through and get rid of these, honestly. But like, I am an ellipses whore. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, in your narration, not dialogue, but in the actual narration, there pretty much shouldn't be. There should be almost no ellipses.
Yeah, so for me, I don't use ellipses in the narration of the narrative or at all. It's when it's deep in her inner thoughts or in dialogue. And because a lot of this book, because it's first person book and a lot of it is deep within her personal thoughts, especially because a lot of this beginning part of the book has to do with like her stuff that happened to her in her PTSD and whatnot. It's in her inner thoughts a lot, and she's constantly confused and like cutting off thoughts with other thoughts and like trailing off thoughts and continuing on with other like. So I use ellipses a lot.
Yeah, using it in the narration, there's an ongoing It seems to be an increasing problem that authors are having with indefinite speech, especially indefinite speech in the narration, where it's just it's like when they're saying, something seemed to be coming out of the water. It's not, no, something came out of the water.
Yeah.
Stop backing away from the action.
I've
It makes
wondered,
you seem weak.
yeah, I've wondered if that has something to do with the more indeterminate times, because I've noticed about maybe 5 years ago, those started creeping into my writing a lot. Like a lot of those, it seemed it just those distancing words just started creeping in, and they're not in the work I did before that. So like something, for some
It's like
reason, they
something to
started
do with your
creeping
state
in.
of mind.
Yeah, yeah.
It could. It could be.
Could be.
That so many people are so less sure of themselves that they're just like writing that into the fiction without realizing they're doing it or something.
One
Yes.
thing that I've noticed, going because I'm not currently at this moment, but I've been editing my first draft of my first book, and one thing I've noticed a lot is I have a lot of passive voice in action. So not like example in the first chapter of my book is said like once the door, like after the door had been closed or something like that, and that's passive. And so I just said after the door closed, and then continue on because like that's active. So I've noticed a lot. I use a lot of passive voice in the narrative of like describing what's going on, and so I've been having to change a lot of those out. Passive voice in dialogue is fine because people just generally speak in passive voice a lot. So like there's a God, I'll have to find it for you, but there's a website where you can put in your manuscript and it'll search every instance of passive voice and highlight it so that you can go through each single instance and then you can decide which ones you're going to keep, and like you can click ignore this, and so you have to go through, and so I went through and I ignored all the ones that were in dialogue, and then I went through every other instance that it highlighted and changed all the ones that needed to be changed.
I know Pro Writing Aid has a passive voice report. That's one of the reports that it generates, that it shows you all the passive voice in your stuff. I don't know if that's the site you're talking about or not, but
I don't think it was. It might have been.
I think Hemingway does. Was it Hemingway that does that? I know they. I haven't used Hemingway in so long.
I don't remember what site it was. It was one that somebody told me about, and they're like, "Here, try this out," and they sent me a link to it, and I can go back to that conversation with that person because it was on Facebook, and I can find it, but I'd have to scroll because it was like last year, so.
Have to scroll a lot.
I'd have to scroll a lot to go find it. But another one that I know does it is Grammarly will also highlight passive voice.
CB said that Hemingway does it too. I thought Hemingway had a passive voice thing in it, but I haven't used that in so long. I couldn't remember.
One thing for UCB that I can't speak to because you're in Scotland and I don't know what the style guides over there are.
Right.
Because you could have different rules than we do.
Right. So we're going off of the Chicago Manual of Style, which is generally not the hard and fast rule, but the generally widely accepted style guide for books here.
Especially for fiction.
Yeah.
Fiction, nonfiction, but not.
But like academic like publication, like an article for a newspaper, like a research article or something, would probably be
Associated Press.
Yeah, it would be AP, which is got completely different rules. So, yeah. If you're wanting to publish primarily in the U.S., then you could probably be safe going off of CMOS. But since you are not in, I'd rather just learn U.S. style and to heck with the British style because there's literally no one to teach me here. All right, well then CMOS is your thing. Anybody who wants it, the Chicago Manual of Style, you can get the online subscription instead of having to buy the book for freaking $70, and it's $44 a month.
God, I hope not. It's.
That's not a month.
I have it written down somewhere. Here, let me.
That's like I want to schedule my social media, and you think that everybody who does that is rich? Pricing.
Because right now I have the free trial. They give you a free trial for a month, and after that you have to start paying for it. Subscribe or free trial. Here it is. 1 year is $41. And then they have 2 years for $74 and 3 years for $104. Yeah. There you go. But it's online. Here, you know what? I can actually share my screen and show you what it looks like because I have it open right now. Share. Chrome tab. Alright. So here's the homepage. This is what it looks like. I always go straight to here, and then you can scroll down. Publishing process. Style and usage. And then citations and indexes. And then this is generally what I use the most because it's for like fiction, and it shows you like literally anything that you could have a question on. Like the last thing I looked up was numbers, and then because I had to look up if I had to spell this number out or have it be numerals, and so then it says general rules 0 through 100, and you click it, it gives you an explanation and an example, and then tells you other sections to look at if you need more information. And then you can click on those sections and it'll take you there.
Examples are priceless.
I really like it. It's very helpful tool, especially for me, because like I am not an expert and I will forget things. So that's why I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely going to get the subscription to this so that I can use it all the time. So yeah, I highly recommend getting the online subscription to this. A lot of people do prefer having the physical book, but I like having the subscription because then I don't have to physically look up every individual thing in the book every time I need to look something up.
What, you don't like having to go through the index?
Yeah, no, I'd rather just like look here and click on a link to whatever section and have it take me there. So, also another resource is Natalia Lee has been doing a lot of videos about different grammar stuff based off of Chicago Manual style that I have found really helpful, and you can check those out too because she does a lot of them. She did about punctuating and dialogue, and she did about numerals and various other ones. So yeah, check out hers too. Hello, Alexis.
Hi, Alexis.
How are you?
Hello.
And my editors are from India and England. Interesting.
No, Penumbra's talking about up a little higher. Those two, yeah.
It's a problem, but there seems to be no other way to indicate when someone is talking through crying, panting, or concentrating on something while talking. Or talking about ellipses still?
Lots of ellipses, yeah.
Yeah, so I use ellipses for that stuff too. Like if she's really sad about something and she trails off, then I'll use an ellipses. Or sometimes if it's more of an abrupt trailing, like she just kind of stops, I'll use an M dash. But if it's like she's talking and she kind of just, then I'll use an ellipses. So, how can one express that with an M dash?
Without M dashing the dialogue to death.
Okay, so yeah, M dashes should not be used for like necessarily trailing off speech unless it's very abrupt, like they stop themselves from speaking. Because okay, I've seen a book where people were constantly interrupting, like the whole page of dialogue, it was like interrupting, and so it was like M dashes all down the page, and it drove me crazy because like they were interrupting each other constantly. I'm like, oh my god, stop, just talk to each other. Just have a normal conversation.
But one thing I would say to that, the using ellipses to indicate the, crying or panting or concentrating on something while talking. Yes, that is what the ellipses are for.
Mm-hmm.
But also, don't overdo it.
Yeah, don't overdo it. You can sometimes just like stop the sentence and say she cried and couldn't continue, or something like that, instead of using an ellipses, because using too many ellipses and you see a page that's just full of them, it's a lot. And as a reader, I hate to see it. And as an editor, I hate to see it.
Yeah, like if you type out the dialogue, and you've got an ellipses between each word as they're panting. No, that's bad.
Yeah, instead
That
just say that they were panting through
hmm
the sentence or something along those lines. We were talking about the subscription to the Chicago Manual of Style. It is $41 for 1 year. If you can't afford an editor, but you want to have your book like as best as it can be, I would highly recommend getting that, because that is what most editors here in the US will be using. And so, like, as you're editing, if you have any questions, you can just look them up in there. Also, the Merriam-Webster's dictionary is free, but if you sign up for the like,
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Willow has left the chat. Willow.exe has stopped responding.
I
sorry,
I thought she.
that,
Hello.
that was my fault. I accidentally clicked something. So, Merriam-Webster's dictionary, if you sign up to get like a profile on there, it'll keep track of words that you've looked up before and that kind of stuff, and you can like favorite words. But I recommend either having a physical copy of it or doing it online and having it ready to go, because you can look up a word if you're not sure if it needs to be hyphenated or what spelling to use or anything like that. You can look it up on there and it'll tell you. Like the other day, I was looking up a word that I think it was painstaking, where I thought it was supposed to be hyphenated, and I looked it up and it was not. But that's also a very valuable resource.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing that would be nice if the built-in spell checkers could get right, because that's where it hits me the most, is when you're not sure and the spell checker just does the blue underline and suggests both
Mm.
to you. Like,
Another thing that you can get if you have Microsoft Word, it's called Perfect It. It checks for consistency in your writing. So if you have, in this instance, you hyphenate it, and in this instance you don't, it'll take every single one of those and tell you, so that you can go through and choose if you want them to be all hyphenated or all not hyphenated.
Per
Or
Writing Aid also has a
various.
consistency thing
Right.
that it'll do. If you can't tell, that's what I use for my editing most of the time.
I find myself, when I'm editing in Google Docs, going to a lot of the blue underline sections and saying, no, Google, that's wrong. That is not
Mm-hmm.
what's supposed to be there.
Sorry, there's a
Because it
train.
does not know grammar as well as it thinks
Yeah.
it does.
Yeah, it drives me up the wall, man.
And, and there's also some things like it doesn't know which of two variations is the right one to use. Like the single word underwater versus the two words underwater. Because those mean different things.
Right.
Underwater as one word is an adjective. Underwater is an adverb.
One that I came across for my book is using the breakup as a noun. Like, she was thinking about the breakup and it was hyphenated, and another time she said we don't have to break up,
Mm-hmm.
and they tried to hyphenate that. I'm like, no, because that's a completely different
Mm-hmm.
meaning here, completely different thing. Like, this is a noun, this is not a noun.
Mm-hmm.
So
Actually, that is the incorrect one, CB.
who wants to live underwater?
That would be two words.
Yes, that would be two words.
The underwater castle
Adjective.
was underwater.
I would just say, anytime you're unsure of if a word is supposed to be two or one, or hyphenated or not, look it up in Merriam-Webster, because that is usually the accepted one. Because, like, just look it up and it'll tell you what the definition of whatever way you spelled it is, and then you can decide if that's what you meant or not. Head desk.
That needs to be an emoji. Like, really, really bad, because I do that way too often. Just like, oh.
Mine is. Face
Oh,
palm.
the hubby is all about the face palm. I am just. Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
and Devin is correct. English is weird.
Well,
English is weird.
as my favorite English teacher always said, English is what happened when a bunch of Frenchmen wanted to get down and dirty with a bunch of German ladies who happened to be living in the British Isles. So that doesn't lead to a very clean and simple language.
Definitely not. There's this. So I was on TikTok this morning, and there's this French guy that makes videos on there. He's like English words I can't say, and so he'll look. He goes on Google Translate, and he's like, here's the word in French, and here's what it is in English, and he'll say it in French, and then he'll say it in English, and then like click the speaker to hear it, and every time he gets it wrong, and he's like, ah, and like it's so mad. Like Colonel, he's like, okay, in French we say colonel or whatever, however he said it in French, and then he's like, now in English I'm not sure how they say it, and he was trying to say it, and then he clicked on it and it said colonel, and he like it cut to a different scene where he was like laying on the floor like dead. And he's like it's really funny. His videos are great. He does it like he'll do like 4 or 5 different words in one video, and it's really funny.
That's one of the reasons why I'm just obsessed with Scots English, because it's the alternate road we may have taken, but we didn't. Like they still pronounce a lot of the hard letters, and it's an interesting experience as somebody who speaks our what they call Southern English, to hear an actual dialect of English being spoken, because it's mildly intelligible, but it makes your brain feel a little like somebody's like poking it a little bit, because you have to work harder to tease out the meanings.
A question that I got from my best friend the other day, because he's like, hey, you're like a professional editor now. Answer this for me. He was asking me if it was okay to use a lot of slang type terms in the narrative writing of the
No.
book. And my answer was, if it is a third person book, like written in third person, absolutely not, don't do it.
Exactly.
However,
First person, yes.
first person you can, if it's a first person book, because it's written from the perspective of someone, you can use slang that they would use in the narrative. Just don't overdo it.
If you're doing third person and you use slang in the narrative, you have turned your narrator into a character. Now, you can do that if you do it deliberately and consistently.
And you're Terry Pratchett.
Yes.
But if you don't do it deliberately and consistency, it just looks sloppy and lazy, and it looks like you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. So, if anybody was wondering that, first person, go for it. Third person, don't do it unless you're doing it on purpose.
And nowadays, I would be so careful about using too much slang at all in your text, because with the advent of the internet, the rate at which slang is coming in and out of use is just so fast. You're really dating the story. Like there are words that were very common to hear just a month ago that have already had their usefulness come and go.
Slang can be really useful in helping nail, like if you have it set in a different era than what you're writing in, then like now, like say you wrote a book that's set in the 70s today, you can, and it's first person, you can use slang to really nail in, like this is set in the 70s, I'm going to use a lot of 70s slang, or any decade that you want to use. And but it only works for first person unless you're deliberately doing a third person to make the third person narrator like a character in the story, basically. But yeah, just try if you're writing in third person, just try to avoid using slang in the narrative. In the dialogue, perfectly acceptable, not in the narrative.
And also in the narrative for both first and third person, the word you.
That makes it second person.
No, what it does is it makes a reader character.
Yep.
So you only use that if you actually want a reader character. Like Bobby looked out over the vista, and it was the type of vista where you could see for miles. Nope, you just made a new character. You
I,
just
I have
wait.
I have one series that I'm working on that wants to do that so bad because it's like it really wants to be like somebody telling the story to somebody like at a bar or something, and is always like, "You wouldn't believe it," and I'm just like, "Stop,
But you
stop!
can
I don't
do
want."
that if you do it on
Yeah, but
purpose.
I don't
That's
Okay.
want
fine.
to.
Okay, there's a book. I haven't finished reading this book. I DNF'd it because it was starting to get kind of dry in the middle, but I do want to continue it because the writing style really intrigued me. But it's a zombie apocalypse book, and it was basically this guy telling the story of what happened to him as an adult, like it happened to him when he was a teenager, but now he's an adult and he's like moved past it and he's telling the story to somebody. And so it's written like that, like it's you're being told a story, not that you're reading a book, but you're being told this story by this guy about his life. And it was really intriguing and I was really enjoying it, and then in the middle it got kind of dry of like I don't know. I want to get past that middle part so that I can finish the book, but it was really cool. Like there's a scene where his mom turned into a zombie and he needed to like shoot her. He had this shotgun. He needed to kill her, but he couldn't do it because it was his mom. So his friend picked up the shotgun and did it for him. And it was like this whole scene, like you and he's. I should just go grab the book. It's downstairs. I should just go grab it because I can find that exact scene. All right, one moment. I'll be right back.
And this time we're losing Meadow on purpose. It is not an accident this time.
Another thing that youngifies your story is the overuse of exclamation points. An adult story doesn't have very many, but the farther you go down towards, new adult, young adult, middle grade, you get more exclamation points in there because everything is alarming. But I think a friend
Okay.
of mine back in college explained it the best. You are given a certain amount of exclamation points in your life. Don't use them all up right in the beginning.
And be very wary about using them on social media because I had a very angry year like 6 years ago, and I still can't do ads on Twitter because of excessive exclamation point use. Because I didn't go back and delete everything from back then because that's a lot of scrolling back to do to find all that. And so be mindful. That's a thing that they judge you on when they're looking at whether or not you can do ads on a platform.
But yeah, when I was working on my last book, the author wanted to have an adult book, but they had a lot of exclamation points. And it's just like, we need to tone this shit down because adults don't find the world that alarming.
Okay.
At least they shouldn't.
I found the corresponding section to what I was talking about before. So,
Story time with Meta.
this book is called Positive by David Wellington. This is the story narration style that like really intrigued me and why I want to actually finish this book. So his mom just turned into a zombie and it says, "I went for the shotgun. Sometimes if you stop and think about things, if you really try to work out what they mean, you are utterly damned. I grabbed the weapon and tried to point it, tried to figure out where the safety if there was a safety or not. I'd been trained how to handle firearms, of course, but it had been pistols and rifles, not shotguns. In the end, I swung it like a club, brought it down like a hammer on my mom's wrists. She didn't scream in pain, but she let go of Ike and drew back, hands pulled back like an injured animal. I turned the shotgun around in my hands, looking for the trigger, which suddenly I couldn't find. My hands were sweaty. Blah. Okay, I'm going to skip to the part that really intrigued me. There was the sound, which I was expecting, but it still made me jump. I'm sure you've heard a shotgun fired before. One by one, the people in the hallway nodded to themselves, bit their lips, and nodded because they knew the right thing had been done, and they went back inside, closing their doors behind them, leaving me there in the dark of the corridor. I don't remember if I cried. And that's the end of the chapter.
Who is you?
That's the deliberate style of he's telling the story to me. So you is the reader. He's telling me the story of his life.
You is you.
This is an instance where you can say you can imagine or you've this and that. And you can use you because that's what he's doing on purpose. He's telling the story to the reader rather than just writing a book for the reader to read.
Yeah, so he's actually got the reader is a character.
Yeah, and this is very does it very consistently, like throughout the whole book. And
I want to respond to Penumbra.
I love it, man. I love it.
Um, using the exclamation points in dialogue is a completely different monster than using them in the narrative. The narrative is the place where you need to tone down the exclamation points. The dialogue is perfectly acceptable.
People yell.
Yes. But one thing that definitely, it's not even middle grade, it marks you as amateur, is to use multiple punctuation.
Yeah,
Like
double punctuation is that big
2
no-no.
question marks or 3 question marks or 2 exclamation points. That marks you as an amateur that no editor has touched.
The only one that I have trouble with accepting is a question mark and an exclamation point.
The interrobang.
I wish the interrobang was actually a thing still that I could use because I know you're not supposed to use double punctuation, but like he's screaming a question. I want that to get across that he's screaming a question. Like, what the hell is going on? Like, that's the only one that I have trouble. Like, but I want to use them.
Unfortunately, the interrobang is not accepted professionally, which it's sad, but it's one of those things where, as an editor, and if you've got one, I have to just sigh, close my eyes, and pull the trigger.
Yeah, it's sad. What I usually end up doing is I will, if it's like he's screaming a question like that, I'll put the exclamation point and then say, he asked, therefore implying that it was a question.
Hmm.
That's not a bad solution.
Yeah.
The interrobang would be a better one, but
I wish that the interrobang was usable.
So there you go. People in chat that like to use the exclamation point with the question mark, you've got editors here saying,
We also wish
we
you could use
want
it.
it to be something that you can use professionally, but it's not. We are in your corner, but we can't use it.
continue using it like on social and stuff because that's how language changes. Because the more it becomes accepted in common parlance, it will filter. Because that's how language rules change is through common usage.
Is Alexis going to sleep? Good night.
I'm probably going to as well.
Yeah, it's about that time. I was going to say we should do another sprint since we only did 2, but like it's been 2
Kitty!
hours. Hello, kitty kitty.
There you go.
If punctuation evolved as fast as language. If only. If only. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't take my headphones off.
Loads
I
of
need to hear what people are saying.
interobangs. Yeah, interobang is the one thing that I like. Please make it a thing. Come on. Because I want to use question mark exclamation point. Hello, sinceriousness. I think we're going to be doing outros here in a moment, so I apologize. But you could watch the replay. We talked a lot about grammar lessons.
Yeah, we did more grammar lessons than we did.
I feel like that's what's been happening with my streams lately is like, because I've been editing a lot during my streams. So then I'll be like, oh, look, a grammar thing that I didn't know about right away, and now I know about it. I want to tell people, and then it just turns into a big grammar lesson.
Which is very helpful and informative for the rest of us.
Yeah, my goal is honestly to, because I'm aware that some people cannot afford to hire a professional editor. I want to help people learn as much as they can so they can try to edit their own books since they can't afford to hire a professional. Because I want to at least make sure your book is as good as it can be.
And not say, I edited my own book and released something that's full of errors.
Yeah. So, That's my goal, is to try to teach people the grammar that they need to know, and also provide resources for people to use, like the online subscription for Chicago and various other things like that. So,
And so that more people can hire us because it'll cost less because they will have fewer errors for us to fix.
true, true.
And
Never
it'll
truer words have been
cost less
spoken.
because it takes us less time.
Yes. Because a lot of editors will give discounts if they don't have to do as much work.
If I have to fix like 2 or 3 things a page, I will charge you a lot less than if I have to shovel out a dumpster fire.
Yeah, I know Natalia Lee said that she likes to give discounts, like if she, she has the standard, like I charge this much per word, and then she'll finish the project and be like, well, I really didn't have to do that much, so you only have to pay me like half or, whatever her discount is, I don't know, but like, I also will give discounts if I get your work and I don't have to do that much to it. Because I'm like, I feel bad charging you the full amount if, like, I didn't really, like, have to do as much work as what would justify the
Hmm.
full amount. So,
Yeah, if you took 5 minutes of my day and I'm charging you for a full day, I feel like an asshole.
yeah, so. I think mainly the only types of editing that I really think that you should hire somebody for is honestly proofreading, because you can get the
Hmm.
developmental stuff done with a critique partner and beta readers. You can get line editing and proofreading or copy editing really done yourself, as long as you like learn proper grammar stuff or have resources to look up stuff that you don't know. And proofreading is really, I think you should hire somebody, because that's like one more person to give a last look before you publish, because a lot of stuff can still be left behind even if you did go professional all the way through the whole process.
I mean,
So,
just
I
look at
would.
how many traditional published books come out with errors still in them.
Mhm.
right.
I would add as a huge thing, if you've got a friend that is really good at the editing, do not have them beta read for you. Because what happens is the more times a person's eyes go onto your book, the more they gloss over things that are wrong.
Yeah.
So,
If you want to ask a friend to edit for you, they need to be given the project fresh
mhm.
when they are editing. So yeah, because I know, like, for me, I worked on a project where I was a beta reader, and then I edited and proofread it after I was a beta reader, and I had to do several read throughs to make sure I got everything, because I had read it so many times already that I was missing things.
And that's why all authors, even ones that are editors themselves, need to source out their editing for their own work
Hmm.
because they've seen it too many times. They can't
Yeah.
see their own mistakes anymore.
Like, I feel confident that I could copy edit my own work, but I definitely am going to hire somebody to proofread. I probably will hire somebody to do a copy edit and a proofread for my first book, maybe my first two, but eventually I'll feel more comfortable. But I'm always going to hire somebody to proofread, because I don't trust myself enough to be able to do that myself and not miss stuff. So, but yeah, that's the only one that I recommend you definitely get every single time, is a proofreader. Yes, Eva, all final proofs should be a brand new reader. There is an accepted margin of error for typos in a manuscript. Writers are bigger critiques than readers in that regard. Yeah. I like beta reading. It's really fun, like that whole group beta experience where you all get to like see each other's comments and like talk to each other, and like I really enjoyed my experience with doing that. But yeah, if I cannot accept a beta read if I know that they want to hire me for editing, because I'm like,
Hmm.
yeah, I can't read this book if I'm gonna edit it. I can't read it till I'm editing it.
Hmm.
So, all right, it's 2 hours and 5 minutes.
We should do outros.
We should do outros. Charlie, do you want to go first?
Sure. Hello, my name is Charlie Dorset. I do like a lot of YouTube stuff. I stream every Wednesday and Friday on my channel at 5 p.m. Eastern. We do fan fiction Fridays on Fridays, and God only knows what's going to happen because sometimes I'm doing art, sometimes we go for 9 hours because we do. So if you're down for that, go check it out. I also just recently started a new podcast called Myth Weaving, which is about world building and writing and whatnot. And it is pre-populated with a whole bunch of stuff because earlier this year we went through and did what we called World Building 101 and 201. So all of those episodes are over there in one place, so nobody has to use the Spotify playlist that doesn't work for everyone apparently. So it's all in one place now. So definitely check that out. I'm really, really excited about having an actual place for all of that writing talk to be. And you can find links to everything that I do over at projectshadow.com.
Also, Charlie, if you want to send me the links, or I could go over there, I can add them to the description after we're done.
Okay.
Just so
Okay.
people don't have to like go all over. All right, and Jace, it's your turn.
All right, I am Jace Maxwell. I'm an urban fantasy author. I am an editor for Rose City Editing. I do sim streams now 5 days a week, with the one on Wednesdays being a 6-hour block that starts on Cat Leo's channel on Twitch, then goes to mine, and then goes to Meadows. On Saturday mornings, I play in Sako Tumi's Vampire the Masquerade game on her channel, so that is live, and that's a lot of fun. And then on Saturday afternoons at 4 p.m. Eastern, I run my productivity sprints.
Hoot hoot.
Woot woot, in the boot.
I am going to find a way to rip audio off of these streams, and I am going to make those songs. Just be like that's not an idle threat. I just can't. Everything I know that will grab the audio from a YouTube video, it's like too long. Can't do it. No. So I will find a way.
I will find a way. All right. Hello. My name is Meadow Lamro. I do my streams on. Oh, okay. That's the link that you want me to put in there. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, I'll put that in when we end in the description. All right. Hello, my name is Meadow Lamro. I do live streams on Tuesdays at the same time as today for productivity and writing. I also, as Jace pretty much says like half of the stuff that for me because we do the same things. So, as Jace already said, tomorrow is the Sims 4 3-play collaboration. So, yeah, it starts at 12 noon Eastern, goes till 6 p.m. Eastern, going from Kat to Jace to me. So, if you've been already watching that, then we're doing episode 3, continuing on with the Black Widow 100 Baby Challenge with Priscilla Flinch. So, yay. Then I'm one half of Rose City Editing. If you want to hire us for professional editing, please let me know. We have developmental, line, copy, and proofreading. And we can work with you on price if you need to, / payment plans, etc. We are very accommodating. So just let me know. And starting in December, I will be doing Arabic lessons. Not like live or anything, like I'll be recording video lessons and posting them starting in December. I'm preparing everything now so that I can like have them all queued up and ready to go. So if you're interested in learning Arabic, keep an eye out for that. I also think I'm going to be starting more Sims stuff on my channel because
That's fun.
thanks to this collaboration, it has woken my love for Sims. So the one I've been toying with is possibly doing the Sims 4 Legacy Challenge. So if you're interested in watching that, then stay tuned. I'm most likely going to be doing it starting like next week or something like that. So.
Oh, I am also starting, just whenever I get them ready, narrations of my own work. And there is one that I'm trying to fast track to put up for tomorrow,
Woot woot.
which is like a character, a short story character bio type of thing for a character for the Vampire the Masquerade game,
Awesome.
and it's actually pretty cool. So I'd like to have that up tomorrow.
And also, hopefully, I can motivate myself to do it soon. I am trying to do some more individual grammar, like we'll talk about one specific subject in a video. Example, I'm probably going to be doing the ellipses here pretty soon of how to properly punctuate and use it. So also stay tuned for that.
Do it.
I'm hoping if I talk about it here, you guys will actually like motivate me to actually do it, because like I've had for months, I've been like, oh, I'm going to do this video and this video and this video, and then I don't do it. So hopefully by me telling you that I want to do it, you guys can be like, but are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? And then it'll help me do it.
I can bring the peer pressure. Okay.
Bring the peer pressure, please.
Got it.
I need it to motivate me to actually do shit, okay? All right,
Oh,
well,
I've
with
got
that...
the best motivation. For check the planner. Check the
Oh,
weekly
gosh,
planner.
okay, let me open it. Let me open it. Weekly planner. Here we go. Oh my god, load. Thank you. Thanks. He wrote in ellipses video on the very top of my list for tomorrow. Well, if it's on the list, I guess I have to do it.
Guess you gotta.
You're welcome. Signed, your secretary.
All right, well, with all of that, long-ass outros, thank you, everybody, for being here, and I will see you guys hopefully tomorrow in the Sims video.